You receive the Eucharist every Sunday, perhaps even daily. You walk down the aisle, you bow, you receive the host, you say Amen, and you return to your pew. It's a sacred rhythm, a familiar and comforting part of your Catholic life. But what if that very familiarity is causing you to miss something vital? What if, out of habit or simple lack of knowledge, you are approaching the King of the universe with a casualness you would never show to an earthly dignitary? There are 5 specific rules for receiving Holy Communion, rooted in the Church's law and ancient tradition, that millions of Catholics break every single week without even realizing it. This isn't about promoting scrupulosity or creating anxiety. It's about love. It's about reverence. It is about recovering a sense of awe before the single greatest mystery of our faith, that the small white wafer you receive is not a symbol, not a holy object, but Jesus Christ himself, body, blood, soul, and divinity. The Eucharist is the source and summit of the Christian life. Everything the Church does, all her sacraments, ministries, and works are oriented toward it. It is the literal, physical presence of God among us. When you receive the Eucharist, you are more intimately united with God than the apostles were when they walked beside him in Galilee. So how we prepare for and receive this incredible gift matters profoundly. The Church, as a wise mother, has given us certain disciplines and rules to help us approach this sacred mystery with the proper disposition. These aren't arbitrary hoops to jump through. They are guardrails designed to protect both the sanctity of the sacrament and the health of our souls. Over time, in many places, a sense of profound reverence has been replaced by a casual, informal attitude. And this is often reflected in the breaking of these 5 simple but important rules. Let's examine them one by one so that the next time you approach the altar, you can do so with a renewed sense of wonder and a deeper love for the Eucharistic Lord who waits for you. The first and perhaps most commonly broken rule is the Eucharistic fast. For centuries, the Church required a fast from all food and drink from midnight until the time of communion. In 1964, to make receiving communion easier for the faithful in the modern world, Pope Paul VI relaxed this discipline significantly. The rule now is that you must fast for just 1 hour before receiving Holy Communion. That means 1 hour before the moment of reception, not 1 hour before Mass begins. This fast applies to all food and all drinks with 2 exceptions: water and medicine. These can be taken at any time. So many people forget this rule entirely. They grab a coffee and a donut on the way to Mass, or they are chewing gum in the pew. The 1 hour fast is the bare minimum the Church asks of us. It is a small act of physical sacrifice, a way of creating a little hunger in our bodies to remind us of the much deeper hunger we should have in our souls for the bread of life. It is a tangible way of preparing ourselves, of setting this time apart from our ordinary routine. The sound of your own stomach quietly rumbling before communion can be a beautiful prayer, a physical reminder that you are waiting to be filled, not by earthly food, but by God himself. Failing to observe this simple 1 hour fast is a violation of the Church's law. It's not just a suggestion, it is a required discipline. So the question is simple: are you observing it? The second rule that is frequently ignored concerns our spiritual state. You must be in a state of grace to receive the Eucharist. This is the most serious rule of all. The Catechism, quoting St. Paul, is crystal clear. Whoever therefore eats the bread or drinks the cup of the Lord in an unworthy manner will be guilty of profaning the body and blood of the Lord. St. Paul goes on to say that this is the reason many in his community were weak and ill. To receive the Eucharist in a state of mortal sin is itself another mortal sin. The sin of sacrilege. It is like welcoming a king into your home while knowing you have a traitor hidden in the closet. It is a profound act of dishonesty and disrespect. A mortal sin, as we know, severs our relationship with God. To receive communion in that state is to pretend that the relationship is intact. It is a lie acted out at the most sacred moment of our lives. This is why the sacrament of confession is so intimately linked to the Eucharist. Confession is the place where mortal sin is forgiven and our souls are restored to a state of grace. If you are conscious of having committed a mortal sin, you have an absolute obligation to go to confession before approaching the Eucharist. There are no exceptions to this, except in a grave emergency where a priest is not available. And even then, you must have perfect contrition and the firm resolve to go to confession as soon as possible. In our modern culture, the sense of sin has been dulled. Many people no longer recognize what constitutes a grave sin. This is why a regular examination of conscience is so vital. We must be honest with ourselves before God. The feeling of unworthiness before the Eucharist is actually a healthy spiritual sign. None of us are truly worthy. But there is a world of difference between approaching with the humble unworthiness of a forgiven sinner and approaching with the arrogant unworthiness of an unrepentant one. The third rule is about our physical posture and gesture of reverence. The Church asks us to show reverence for the Eucharist as we approach to receive it. The general instruction of the Roman Missal states that the faithful should make a sign of reverence before receiving. In the dioceses of the United States, this sign is prescribed as a simple bow, not a nod of the head, but a profound bow from the waist. It is a physical act of acknowledging that you are in the presence of your King. How often do we see people shuffling down the aisle, hands in their pockets, and receiving the Eucharist without any gesture of reverence at all? This simple bow is a powerful act of faith. It is a declaration made with your body. I believe that this is not bread, but the Lord of heaven and earth. Whether you receive the Eucharist on the tongue or in the hand, this bow is required. It is a moment to pause, to collect yourself, and to adore your Lord before you receive Him. The physical act of bowing influences the soul. It cultivates an interior attitude of humility and adoration. It is a small thing, but it changes everything. The fourth rule concerns how we actually receive the host. The Church gives us two options: on the tongue or in the hand. Both are permitted, but if you choose to receive in the hand, there is a proper way to do it. The bishops have taught that when you receive in the hand, you should make a throne for the King. You place your dominant hand underneath your non-dominant hand, forming a flat throne with your palms. After the priest or minister places the host on your hand, you are to step to the side, and then, with your dominant hand, take the host and place it in your mouth immediately. You must consume the host right there, in front of the minister. You are not to walk back to your pew with the host in your hand. This is an absolute rule, designed to prevent the host from being dropped, or even worse, taken for a sacrilegious purpose. A horrifying number of people receive the host and walk away with it, as if they are taking a cookie back to their seat. This is a grave abuse. Furthermore, after receiving, you must check your palm and fingers for any small particles of the host and consume them reverently. Every particle, no matter how small, is the whole Christ. Nothing should be lost or treated casually. The fifth and final rule that is so often broken concerns what we do after receiving communion. The moments after you receive the Eucharist are the most sacred moments of your week. Jesus Christ is physically, substantially present within you for as long as the species of bread remains, typically about 10 to 15 minutes. This is a time for intimate, silent prayer and thanksgiving. It is a time to adore the God who has made your body his tabernacle. And yet, how often do we see people returning to their pews and immediately looking around, checking their watches, or even leaving Mass right away? To leave Mass immediately after receiving communion is a profound act of ingratitude. It is like inviting a guest for dinner and then walking out the door as soon as they sit down at the table. The saints tell us that these moments after communion are the most powerful time for prayer. Our prayers are united with Christ's own prayer to the Father. This is the time to offer him your love, your gratitude, your petitions for yourself and for the whole world. It is a time to simply rest in his presence, to listen to his voice in the silence of your heart. To squander these precious minutes is to miss the whole point of receiving him. These 5 rules: the 1-hour fast, being in a state of grace, the bow of reverence, receiving properly, and the prayer of thanksgiving, are not meant to be a burden. They are a gift. They are the Church's way of helping us to not take the miracle of the Eucharist for granted. They are a call to rekindle our wonder, to awaken our love, and to approach the altar with the awe and humility that is due to our Eucharistic King. If you find mysteries like this compelling, consider following for more content that illuminates the eternal truths of the Church.